Ireland getting the win in this one. 28 points to 17 over Argentina. Although, let nobody say the Argentinians didn't bring something to this game. Because, if my notes are correct, I think the lead changed 6 times in this game. So, apart from, I think, kind of like 60, 65 minutes when Luke McGrath got his try, up until that point, the Argentinians were still right into this game. Ireland just showing too much class at the end to kind of pull away from things. But, I mean, as I said, it was tit for tat. Argentina got a penalty really early on, a couple minutes, made it 3-0. Ireland almost hit back with a maul try, but Stander couldn't be seen to be grounding the ball by the TMO. But it didn't make a difference because when they had a scrum about a minute later, Ireland started to show some absolute dominance in that area. The Argentinian pack was really, really struggling. If there was one thing from this game, and it's been the story of the Rugby Championship as well, for the Pumas, that at scrum time they just don't quite have it at the moment, and it cost them. I mean, look at the Irish scorers. Marmion and Luke McGrath both got on the board from scrums, which were like 5 meters out. So, I mean, Aki got a try as well. Delgi got the one for the Pumas, but yeah, it was a tough night going for that Argentinian front row. Sanchez did get a penalty from the restart though. If there's one area that Ireland perhaps will be a little worried about heading into next week, some of their restarts were a bit poor. Like they gifted points to the Argentinians from that restart after Marmion's try. And there were other times when it just wasn't clean. Joe Schmidt won't be happy with that. He'll want the restart to be an area they're able to control. Because you have to assume, I mean, I shouldn't be talking about next week too much, but they're, in theory, not going to have that same scrum platform that they will as they did this week. Next week against the All Blacks, you got to think that All Black front row will put up a fair bit of resistance and be trying to push back. So, yeah, that's one area to work on. I mean, I can't say too much. I mean, they've just beaten them 28 points to 17. But, hey, you know what I mean. So, yeah, Sanchez got that penalty from the restart. And then Delgi got his try. Argentinians on attack. And this guy's got some gas. He was in part of the lead-up phases to the try. Argentina showed quick hands. Scored out in the corner. And missed the conversion, but it was 11 points to 5. Argentinians ahead. And it was game on. Tit for tat, man. The lead was just changing. Aki got his try from another kind of big island scrum. So, yeah, man, this is really the theme of the story for this game. At that point, Argentina were on a warning for yellow cards because it was just too many penalties conceded. Not just the scrum time, offsides, also late tackles. Both sides were a bit guilty of that, though. I think it was Krevy hit Sexton late and Aki hit Sanchez late. So both sides were a little bit guilty of targeting each other's playmaker, but it happens. Yeah, converted the try, 12 points to 11. Ireland go back in front. Sanchez gets a penalty, puts Argentina back in front, 14 points to 12. And then Sexton puts another penalty over 15 points to 14 at halftime. Really, really back and forth. I didn't get to watch this one live, but I did watch it full replay and without looking at any social media, so I was totally unspoiled as to the result, which I'm pretty glad of because according to the bookies, Argentina were going to get kind of done to, and well, they did get beaten by 11 points. They certainly put in a good shift. More possession of territory for Ireland in that first half, although missed tackles are probably a bit of a concern for both sides, as yeah, there was a bit of space to be found. Handling errors as well, not ideal. I think it had been kind of poor weather, but not during the game itself from memory. Sanchez penalty in the second half makes it 15-17, but that's the end of the Argentinian scoring, and like I think it was the 42nd minute. And you can't be doing that against Ireland. You can't not score points for virtually a whole half. You need to try to do your best to keep ticking the scoreboard over. I know they didn't want to not score points, and it is hard to get points against Ireland, but they were doing it semi-regularly in that first half, and then that tap just got shut off. Sexton missed a really long-range penalty. It was just short, but then he kicked one not long after. 56 minutes, 18-17 in the lead. Luke McGrath gets his try from that scrum, 25-17, and then one more Sexton penalty, 28-17 is how it finished. Oh, man, O'Brien went off in this one. Sean O'Brien. injured. Oh man, that guy's just got the worst luck. I think it was just at the end of the first half. Although on the flip side, Levy came on and he looked really good. So it's, I mean, at least there's the depth there, but you feel so sorry for the guy that he just, some guys have that knack of just not being able to put a run of games together. You can see the look on his face when he was on the sidelines. I'm not looking too good. I haven't actually read as to if there's been any updates to that, but it didn't look good during the game itself. Boffelli had his moments, so it wasn't just Delgui. All the Argentinian back three looked pretty good, Moyano as well. But yeah, Boffelli had a big line break, probably could have done a little bit more with it, but Irish defence kind of swept things up pretty well. But yeah, story of the Argentinian day was Scrum getting a bit of punishment and yeah, having to make a lot of tackles. You look at the stats, full-time, 60+% possession and territory for Ireland. It's kind of the game they play. We kind of expect that. Penalties conceded, 6 to Ireland, 11 to Argentina, which is, I guess, encouraging if you're on the Ireland side of the fence. But Argentina kicked 4 penalties and they only gave away 6. So giving away penalties in areas you don't want to, I guess, is an area of concern. Lineouts also will be an area. I mean, 76 is what the Irish lineout was operating at, which is well below, I think, what they can do. I think Toner looked to shore things up a bit when he came on. So who operates in the second row next week will be an interesting question for Ireland. Can't stop talking about next week. James Ryan had a phenomenal performance. Again, like he was man of the match. Had heaps of tackles. I think 13 was the top Irish tackler. Just came through one Argentinian maul just like a hot knife through butter and managed to disrupt it. So yeah, they mentioned it in the commentary. The guy's got a phenomenal work rate and it really shows in his stats. But I mean, likewise for the Argentinians, Alemano, 23 tackles. Obviously, they had more defending to do. Lavanini had 21, although he did give away 3 penalties, which was a little bit costly. But yeah, lots of tackling. I mean, the end of the day, tackling rate for both sides is pretty much even. 86 for Ireland, 87% for Argentina. So both high. I mean, once you get to 90, you're getting into really good territory. So mid to high 50s is a pretty good rate. Another wee concern, I suppose, for Ireland is those turnovers conceded. They did cough up the ball 11 times to Argentina's 8, but I guess they had more of the ball, so it makes sense that they had more chances to kind of give it up. Either way, I think this is very good prep for both teams going into next week. Argentina showed that they're not kind of a one-hit wonder. I mean, they finished last in the Rugby Championship, but they played really well at times. So they'll give France a good run next week after they'll have a point to prove after losing to South Africa. So both those sides will be looking to fight back. And then there's that huge clash between Ireland and New Zealand. I think this game, the fact that the Argentinians weren't a pushover, that they did challenge, that they took the lead multiple times in this game, will set them up. I mean, the All Blacks had a good run against England as well. So it should be two teams kind of clashing as they're on a fairly good run. So that's very much something to look forward to. But yeah, what did you guys think of the game? Outstanding performers. Carberry didn't get too many minutes, which is a little bit disappointing, but the game was still pretty tight, so you can kind of understand leaving Sexton on a wee bit longer. Marmion went off with his ankle, looks to be not in the best shape, so again, I'm not quite sure what the status of him is. I guess we'll see what the news reports say. Lama didn't have quite the same impact as last week, but I mean, it was a much stronger team they were playing. He still had a solid shift, but I mean, he was never going to be able to live up to that same kind of spectacular level as last week, but still put in a good shift. So plenty to look forward to for both these sides. Still a few things to work on for both as well, so we'll see how they go next week. You guys let me know your thoughts on this game. As I said, key performers, key moments, any decisions you thought were a bit contentious. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.